Despite harsh rhetoric against the Syrian government and the US military waiting for a green light to attack, it appears Americans don't want an intervention. Here's what a latest poll has just revealed. Just 9% of the US citizens who were taking part in the survey want their president to act, while about 60% say that America should stay away from this civil war. When asked about Washington's support for the opposition, about 1/10 said that Obama should do more for the rebels than just arming them, while almost 90% don't want America to help the opposition in any way. And meanwhile, medical charity Doctors Without Borders say they have received more than 3,000 patients suffering from intoxication on Wednesday when the chemical assault was reported. 355 of them died, but exactly who was behind the attack is still hard to verify. And so far, the US and its allies have assumed Assad is to blame. Well, for more on this, let's talk to anti-war activist Richard Becker from the Answer Coalition. Richard, so how can the US and indeed the UK be so sure that the Assad government is to blame when all the assumptions are based on the numbers of people affected and the symptoms?
Well, of course, they're not sure at all. What they're doing is what they did 11 years ago that was reported in the infamous Downing Street memos, that is, fixing the intelligence around the objective. The US and the British and French are leading the way in seeking to overturn the government of Syria, led by Bashar al-Assad and the Ba'ath Party. It's just incomprehensible, I think, to almost anyone who thinks logically that the Syrian government would launch a poison gas attack at the very time that UN investigators are in the country investigating an earlier reported use of nerve gas in the country. So we have really, the US is doing what it wants to do, saying what it wants to say to try to mobilize public opinion in the United States to justify potential intervention.
But the Assad government hasn't helped it, has it not, by allowing immediate access to this site? And some are saying that, indeed, the evidence could have been destroyed by now.
You know, it's something that we need to look into, because in the earlier conditions that the UN wanted to put on Syria for the investigators going there in the previous occasion was that they had to grant access to the entire country to the investigators. That is also reminiscent of the conditions that the US imposed on Yugoslavia back in 1999, that Yugoslavia would not accept, and then that was used as a justification to launch the war against Yugoslavia. So I think we need to know the details about that. But right now, the Assad government is saying that it's granting access to the site, which is an area that has a heavy opposition presence.
Well, of course, if the Assad government is to blame, then the suspicion lies with the rebels. Why would any element of the opposition want to launch chemical weapons? Where would they get them from, and what would it actually achieve?
Well, there's a lot of weapons out there in the world, and there are a lot of suppliers for the rebels, the rebel groups at this point. So I don't think it would be a great obstacle for them to obtain the weapons. And why would they want to do it? They would want to do it because they cannot win the war without outside intervention. That has become very clear. The government forces have advanced over the last 6 months or more. And so they, in order to win, require what the opposition required in Libya, that is a NATO intervention.
And will they get that now, Richard? Because the UK and the US are saying there will now be a serious response. We're seeing a military build-up, of course, in the region. Is that really likely, then, that intervention could happen and the rebels will get what they want?
Well, we have to take seriously the threat. We have to take seriously the movement of naval forces, of the Sixth Fleet, and of British and probably other forces in the region. I don't think that there's a decision that's been made yet. I think there's a deep division at the top in the United States, as well as the opposition, the overwhelming opposition among the public that you mentioned earlier to this kind of intervention. And the opposition at the top comes because they don't know where this will lead. But very clearly, the aim is domination over the entire region and elimination. The U.S. wishes to eliminate the independent government of Syria.
And along with this build-up of military presence from the US, we've also learned that the rebels have received a massive shipment of arms just in the last 3 days. What do you read into the timing of that?
Well, there's an escalation going on. There's no question about it. We have to see these elements as connected, as related to each other, and as part of a strategy to try to reverse the course that the war has taken, where the government has made very significant gains, and to try to step up the effort to bring down the independent government of Syria.
Anti-war activist Richard Becker, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Great to talk to you here on RT.